and it's a win-win for everyone. And with no further ado, I want to really welcome my guest. I'm so honored that Gina Valadez is here today. She is the president and founder of Bread of Life, and her organization is doing amazing things to change lives for people throughout our county. Welcome, Gina.
Thank you. It's such an honor to be here as well. Thank you for the invitation.
And you almost made me cry just a minute ago. You were telling me an amazing story about how your organization really changed someone's life, and you basically stopped someone from committing suicide who was a mother of little kids. And I'm going to have you talk about that. And also, I want to hear, you also shared something with me that's very personal. And I'm sure that that was a factor in your decision to start Bread of Life.
Yes. So I was just sharing a moment ago about one of the lives that were changed through Bread of Life, and there's been many. There's many stories. I could sit here for hours and talk to you about the stories. But this one particular story was a woman and 3 children who called me on a Friday night because they needed a place to stay. And at first I was a little reluctant, but ultimately I went and picked them up, brought them home, changed
To
my home, changed my
Amazing.
plans. I was going to go eat pizza that night. All that changed. Brought them home, fed the children with the help of my daughter. She was there. We were making beds for the kids to sleep. The following day, Saturday, I intended to call the Haven of Peace and see if we could put her in a shelter to help her because she was just having some real life struggles. Unbeknownst to me, she went into my bathroom and overdosed, took a bottle of pills, and I did not know that until I was conversing with her in my kitchen, and she started shaking, and she was unable to respond to any of my questions. So, of course, I called 911. They came in, took her away. They also informed me that she would have died in my house had I not called that night. That was really spoke to me because as a child, my mother committed suicide when I was 8 years old, and it was very difficult to grow up without a mom. Some of just the simple things like learning how to cook. I didn't learn how to cook. I'm not known for my cooking at all. And just not having, that mother around was very difficult. So that evening when I saw those 3 little children in my home and their mother just got taken away by an ambulance, it really spoke to me inside that there are real people out there that they're important. And
their lives matter.
Their
and
lives
they're struggling
matter
every day.
And sometimes we don't see that. Sometimes we don't see that because they put on a facade, And I could ask somebody, how are you doing? And they say they're fine, and really inside they're not fine. So I think it's so important that especially when you're giving groceries through Bread of Life, that we don't treat people like they're just somebody standing in line for groceries. I want to make that connection, that relationship. Let them know that they are important. I mean, if they're important to God, they should be important to us too, right?
Definitely.
So that was just one of many stories, and it did change her life. She didn't die. I received a phone call from her weeks later. I never did speak with her again. It was a voicemail, and the voicemail said, thank you for helping her, because her intent was to check out that night and that things were better. She was reconnected with her family. And that was not just one life, but
those 3
4
kids
lives.
too. 4 lives. That's
4
amazing.
lives. Mm-hmm.
And I so respect that you have taken a tragic experience in your own life and you've turned it into gold for other people. And not only are you a mother to your family, but you're a mother to all of these people that you're helping.
Oh, wow. I never thought of that like that. But
it's beautiful. That's awesome. Yes. So let's talk about when you founded Bread of Life and where it's located and what you're doing to help people.
Okay. So I founded Bread of Life in 2010. So we've been an official nonprofit for 9 years, it'll be almost 10 years. And I just started with the heart to help people. It was when the economy was falling and a lot of people were struggling to keep their jobs and their homes. And I just actually felt compelled to help the working people. And I knew everybody had to eat. So, I mean, how hard could that be, right? To give a little bit of food to somebody. And I had no idea. The need was so great. No idea.
And it's growing. It's growing every day.
It's growing. We're in so many locations now. We're in the entire county of San Joaquin. We're also in Merced County.
Wow.
We give groceries to one after-school program in Stockton, and multiple agencies come and pick up from our warehouse.
Awesome. I was going to ask you, what other organizations are you working with? I know you talked about Haven of Peace. Shout out to Olga Rodriguez.
Yes.
What other organizations do you work with? And are you connecting people to other services besides offering food?
Yes, we do. Well, first of all, we work with the Emergency Food Bank in Stockton,
Woohoo!
hand in hand.
That's awesome.
Great.
I'm on the board for their amazing organization.
Oh, they're a great organization, and we work very, very close with them. We work with St. Mary's Dining Hall. We also help any organizations like the Haven of Peace where we can give food product, because we get a lot of food product in. A lot.
Great.
I mean, a lot.
Excellent.
And so, and then there's just many other smaller organizations throughout the county that give groceries to a certain group of people in their neighborhood. So they'll come to us and we give through them. And there's probably too many to name, but there's a lot of them.
Awesome. And earlier when we were talking, you mentioned that all of your distribution sites are in a church.
Yes. So on the third Saturday of every month, we distribute groceries. And we do that through partnering with different churches in the county. And also there's a second church in Stockton. So we have 2 locations in Stockton, one in Lodi, Tracy, Manteca, and Merced. And they're all churches. And the reason that we do that, because people have said, well, why don't you just do it out of your warehouse? It's less work. It'd be easier. You know, people could just come and line up. But that's not what the purpose is. Because when we give groceries away, the people that come, they connect with the church. And when they see the church, then they know that it is coming from the Lord. Because we don't want glorification or recognition. I want all to go to the Lord, because he's the one that's providing for them. Only he knows what they're going through, and we're just the hands and feet. So we go through each church, and each church body facilitates the bread of life, and we provide the groceries, and we provide other things, literature. We put missing children, flyers of missing children in the bags. We also have a benevolence fund where we don't advertise it because the need, I mean, everybody has a need, right? But occasionally we'll receive a phone call or a referral from somebody that needs help. We had one from a school teacher last year, and that student and her family was on the verge of eviction. And Bread of Life was able to step in and to help that mom, and we paid her rent current, gave her a gift card to Walmart and a fuel gift card to help her to get back and forth to work.
Awesome. That's amazing.
So, I mean, we're doing a lot of things, working with a lot of agencies and giving out groceries and giving out hugs. That's what we do.
And you said earlier that you thought it was going to start out as just food, and it's grown to so much more. And people may not realize food insecurity is so spread throughout our county. So many people are making decisions between rent and food or medication and food on a daily basis. Talk about how you chose the particular churches, and if people are then connecting with the church and making that part of their home and getting resources through the church.
So I started with Lifesong because that's where I attend, and the reason I went outside of Lifesong is because I realized that people were driving from different cities to get groceries. So they were coming from Escalon and Lodi and Manteca, and they were spending their fuel to get to our location to get groceries. So I knew different people at different at these other churches, and they asked if they could be a part of our organization. And so that's how we pick those churches. They're not affiliated with Lifesong. Actually, none of them are affiliated with each other, but they're all non-denominational. They're all non-denominational Christian church.
Wonderful. And let's go over the cities again. I heard you say Lodi, Escalon, Stockton.
Yes, Lodi. No, people were driving from Escalon, but our church location is Lodi, Stockton, East Stockton, Manteca, Tracy, and Merced.
Wonderful. Wonderful. And I'm sure you're tracking at the different locations how many people are coming in. Do you plan in the future to do a second distribution monthly?
Probably not a second distribution, but perhaps more locations.
Okay. All right. That's reasonable. And let's go back and let's highlight your information. Let's talk about your website, Facebook, how people can contact you, and what are the requirements for people to participate.
Okay. So our website is breadoflifestockton.org. We are on Facebook. Bread of Life is our Facebook name. And what are the requirements? Well, really, the requirements to get groceries are you just have to be there.
Awesome.
You
so
have
they
to
don't
be
need
there.
to show an ID or address or proof of residency,
No.
nothing.
They don't need to show proof. We do ask them. We're going to ask them their information. It's all confidential. They have to be 18 to get groceries unless they are volunteering, because we have multiple schools that volunteer. And if the students are volunteering, then they can take groceries with them that day when they leave.
Awesome. And what time of day is this distribution, and is all this information on your website?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It starts at 8 a.m. at all of our locations on the third Saturday.
Okay.
And that's all on our website.
Okay.
We're usually done by noon,
Okay.
always the third Saturday.
Okay. All right. And where do you find that it's growing the most, and more people are wanting food? You've talked about expanding up to other locations.
Where do I find that it's growing? There's just an endless need. There's always an endless need. The families, a lot of them are working people. We don't turn anybody away. It doesn't matter. If they're there, then if they're there because they need groceries, then they get groceries. So I don't know if I can really answer that, because I don't know, where it's growing the most.
Okay.
I just know that there's a constant line of people that are coming for groceries.
Okay. And do you have a sense on any given month that you do this, how many people you're helping?
Yes, I do. So last year, we gave away over 12,000 grocery baskets.
Wow. That's a huge amount.
It's a lot of work.
And when you're giving out groceries, are you giving someone a bag of groceries, or are they choosing the items?
We're giving them a grocery cart full. So
A cart?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. And what will typically be in that cart?
Let's see. So they will get bread. They will get fruit, vegetables. They will get cereal, canned food. They will also get dairy, eggs, cheese. They'll get snack items also, and they will get water, juice.
Awesome. So it sounds like there are some perishable items in there, but it all sounds very healthy.
Yes.
Wonderful. Awesome. And what about the people that might need food in between? Are you connecting them to other services? And let's talk about that.
I do. Especially if it's something that we're only open. Our warehouse is open 3 days a week, 4 days a week. Wednesday, Yeah, 3 to 4 days a week. So we're not there Monday through Friday, and there's going to be times that we're not available. So again, we work very close with the Emergency Food Bank and with St. Mary's Dining Hall, and so we would refer them to those agencies.
Awesome. And one thing that you shared earlier is the personal connection with people.
Yes.
And that to me was just phenomenal, because that's on such a higher level. And yes, there are a lot of organizations that give out food. You've mentioned St. Mary's, you've mentioned the Emergency Food Bank, Gospel Center Rescue Mission. But the personal level is what's going to take away fear and reinstill pride in someone and help them to hopefully change their life.
I think so. When you connect with somebody, and I did this just the other night. I went to the store. It was probably about 8 o'clock in the evening. I had to go pick something up at the store, and I saw somebody that comes and gets groceries, and I just love this person. I have a deep love for him, and he has a hard life. He's had a hard life. He's got a story, and maybe one day he'll share that. But he was walking with his bike that was flat, and he lived several blocks away. And I said to him, "Let me give you a ride home." And he calls me Sister Faithful. He says, "Oh, gee, Sister Faithful. There's Sister Faithful." And he goes, "No, no." And I said, "Yeah, we can put the seats down in my car. Let me give you a ride home so you don't have to push your bike all the way home." And that's the kind of connection. Do you see what I mean? It may not mean much to somebody else.
Oh, I think it means a huge amount. I think you have no idea what you've created in people's lives.
This particular young man, he said to me one day, I saw him somewhere else, and I always say hi. If I see somebody that I know from groceries, I will always go to them and say hi to them, right? Because they're important. And I saw him, and I said, "How you doing, Donnie?" And he goes, "Oh, every day's a struggle. Every day's a struggle." And I said, I know, but I love you." And just sharing that, and he knows it, and it brightened his day.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's huge. Any plans to connect with medical services at the time that you're giving out food, or have other booths there when you're giving out food?
Well, we have a health fair once a year, and we partner with UOP, and that we have that fair in June. It's really a grand event with a lot of participation from the community, and a lot of people who come to get their blood pressure, just simple things that they don't go to the doctor for. Even, there's a lot of people who have a high deductible that when they go to the doctor, they're going to pay a lot of money just to go get their blood pressure checked, so they can come to our health fair and get it checked for free.
Wonderful.
And so we do that once a year, and it's been very successful over the years.
That's awesome. That's amazing. And what about your plans for the future? And then let's talk about how the community can help you. Do you need items donated? Do you need volunteers? How can we grow this and help more people?
Okay. So the plans for the future are just to continue what we're doing. There's a scripture in the Bible that says, "Don't grow weary in well-doing." And sometimes, I'll be honest, Julie, it's a lot of work. And you can grow weary if you're not careful, but the reward is worth it. When you see I'm going to share something. We give toys at Christmas time. Oh, the kids. And I've seen the little kids and the joy, and they leap for joy when they see the Santa Claus or the toys, or the people in elf costumes giving them new toys, not used stuff, brand new, coming from the stores, packaged up. I mean, that does something in here to me. That's worth it, right?
And that may be the only toy they get, and it's amazing. It's huge.
It may be. Oh, one time I remember, my memory here. One time I remember it was Thanksgiving, and we were giving away turkeys. And we don't usually do turkeys now because there's just too many people, and we don't have we don't have the resources. But we did have turkeys this one year, and we had ran out. Our bin was empty, and it was being pushed away, and there was this family with 2 little boys, right? And they were up in line, and they were next to get their groceries, and somebody came from behind with another bin. We had another bin that they didn't see. And I saw those boys jumping up and down, and they started clapping. They were going to get a turkey to go home with them. And that right there is worth it. That's why we don't grow weary in well-doing, because that's the reward. The reward is seeing the goodness that we're doing for somebody else. It's so worth it.
And to be able to make someone's holiday. And you're saving lives. You're sustaining people. I'm sure that there's a number of people that you're preventing from being homeless.
Yes.
And I'm sure that there's some people that are homeless that you're preventing them from dying.
That is true. That is true. We've had homeless. I remember one time we had eggs and potatoes. And this man comes in and he says, he's asked me, he said, "Can I take more? Because I'm living on the levee. And there's a lot of homeless people in that camp that are starving." And I said, "Take whatever you can carry." And so we sent them with the potatoes and some eggs. And that, just that one meal, sometimes I think that we could take it for granted, Sometimes we could if we're not careful. But a meal with potatoes and eggs, that could be everything for somebody who has absolutely nothing. Mm-hmm. And I want to say, can I say something else?
Of course, anything you want.
I have a full-time job. All of my board members do, right? So we're not here every day doing this. We all have jobs that we have to go to. And the company that I work for, they are the best. They support me in my efforts of Bread of Life, 150%. And they're potato growers.
Awesome.
So, the potatoes that we're giving out to the community are the freshest grown potatoes. I don't think they can buy them fresh from that.
Awesome.
And
let's name them. Let's give them a shout out.
Ed Zuckerman and Dennis Gardemeyer. They're very generous in everything that they do, not just for me, but for a lot of people. But for Bread of Life, they are the real champions, because they provide me the time off work to be here. They provide me the time off to do other things during the workday, and they provide potatoes, endless potatoes, and
Awesome.
I could go on, but I just want to say thank you to them, because they're the real heroes behind the scenes,
That's huge. And without organizations like that and people like you, this wouldn't be happening. And just how amazing is that that your efforts are directly saving people's lives.
Yeah. Yes.
That's phenomenal.
Yes.
Did you want to give a shout out to anyone else on your board or any other organizations that are helping you?
Well, I've got some great donors. Can I mention the donors?
Of course, you can mention anyone you want.
Okay, so PepsiCo is one of our largest supporters, and they provide groceries in semi-truckloads for us.
Wow.
Semi-truckloads.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's a long way from when I started just nine years ago, when I just had a thought. Now we have semi-truckloads coming in and going out,
That's awesome.
in and going out. Yes. So, and my board, I have a wonderful working board, and I just want to say thank you to each one of them. So should I mention them?
Sure.
Okay.
You can mention whoever. You can say whatever you want.
So,
as long as it's BC, you can
okay.
say it.
Lori Unger is our treasurer, and she does a phenomenal job. And Scott Wynn does our IT.
Awesome.
Efren Chavez, he handles our warehouse. Angela Phillips. And I don't know if you know who Angela Phillips is. I've known her since when she was in college. We worked together at Wells Fargo when we were both young. She's a wonderful woman. I love her. I love her like a sister. And she's our secretary, and she keeps us in line. And Lisa Harrison, she is a social worker, and she helps us with the benevolence.
Wonderful.
I have a great working board. Thank you.
And what if someone listening is connected with a church that might be interested in doing this or wants to volunteer, how can they connect to you?
They can go to our website and reach out to us on our website. We are always looking for volunteers. We we box a lot of groceries, as you can imagine. I just told you the number that we're giving away on an annual basis. So we could use volunteers on Wednesdays and Fridays and Saturdays, just preparing the boxes that are going to go out.
And is that at your warehouse?
That is at our warehouse.
Okay.
So if they can either just show up at our warehouse on those days and we would register them in as a volunteer, or they can reach out to us on our website. And our warehouse address is 1006 North Aurora Street, 95202, and it's in the University Park facility.
Awesome. And that's right in the heart of downtown Stockton.
Yes. Yes.
Excellent. And what about items that you need? So separate from, like, can the public donate to you canned groceries, things like that?
Yes, definitely. Somebody gave me recently a case of refried beans because they're vegetarian, and they found there was something in the refried beans that they couldn't eat, and it was straight from Costco. So we put that in our bin, and that goes into our grocery boxes.
Awesome.
Yes, definitely. Excellent. We don't turn anything away. I can tell you that we do have a need right now for an electric pallet jack because our pallet jack broke, and so we're doing everything by hand, and it's a lot.
That's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. Yes.
All right. And is there a phone number for the warehouse?
It's 209-898-6911.
And you mentioned Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. What hours is it open?
7 to 3.
7 to 3. Okay. And normally, on a typical day, how many volunteers will you have?
Let's see, through the month, we get groups like the California Conservation Corps, and
Shout out to Nick.
they'll be here this week, Friday and Saturday, and I'll probably have a total of 8 to 10 a day. And usually I don't get too much more than that throughout the week. But on the third Saturday, now you've got school groups and high schools and service groups, and we do get a lot of volunteers on the third Saturday to help us actually facilitate the distribution of the groceries, and we're talking hundreds of volunteers.
And how many of the clients that come through the line would you say are repeat clients?
Most of them are repeat clients, but interesting enough, most of our volunteers are also clients.
They're paying it forward.
Yes, they are. Because I believe that most people don't want charity. I think most people want to be a part of an organization.
And everyone wants to make a difference, and I think that's important for their healing too, because if you can take your focus away from yourself and help someone else, it just changes your perspective on everything.
Oh, absolutely. And never, ever do we want to treat somebody that's standing in line for groceries like there's somebody standing in line for groceries. Never. Because it could damage. They're already broken. I remember I was sharing this story not that long ago, years ago. I took a day off work to go get groceries from someplace. And it was very hard for me to do that because I had to humble myself and go ask for help. And I think at that moment, people are very vulnerable. And there's also scripture in the Bible that says that there's life or death in the power of our words. And when we speak to somebody, then it's important that we speak kindness and love, especially if they're vulnerable and already feeling broken, because it could
send them the other way. In a direction we don't want them to go.
Right. Life or death in the power of our words.
That's amazing. I'm so glad that you said that, because we don't realize, and someone once told me, and I love this phrase, that your words are like toothpaste coming out of a container. Once you've said them, you can't put that back in the container.
Oh, yeah. I just saw a visual of that.
And that fits with, we have no idea how much the effect that our actions and our words have on other people. But look at the amazing thing that you're doing, and who knows how many thousands of lives that you've saved in the 10 years that your organization has existed.
Let me tell you one more story of this woman that was losing her house. And she was a professional, and she actually lost her job. This was years ago when I met her in line. And she was losing everything, but she wanted to hold on to her house. So she was losing everything, just struggling to keep her home. She was coming for groceries. She got a job working in Sacramento County as a substitute teacher, but she didn't have transportation. And she would ask me for a ride to Galt. I would drive her to Galt early in the morning, early. I'd get up early before work, and I would pick her up and I would drive her to Galt. She would get on public transportation, and sometimes she would transfer because she never knew what school she was going to teach at, because she was a substitute teacher. And she was telling me the story. She said sometimes she would literally get off the bus and have to run to the next bus stop for a transfer to get on that bus to get to the school that she was going to teach at. And I thought, wow, that's unbelievable and very sad in the same way, right? Because she was struggling so much, and she didn't have family. She wasn't married. She didn't have children, and her father was elderly. And one day, I remember I picked her up after work because I dropped her off that morning, and I called her. I was in town early, and I called her and said, hey, where are you? I want to pick you up and give you a ride home, because she would take the buses coming home. She wouldn't get home until late. Hours, and we're talking hours. So I intercepted her at the mall. I picked her up, and I said, let's go eat dinner. So I took her to go eat dinner, and interesting enough that what she ordered, she ate only half of it, and she like drew a line in her plate and saved half of it. And I knew that she was saving that for a meal. And I took her home, and she said she wanted to give me something. And she had a tomato garden. She gave me some tomatoes. And somewhere in that conversation that she had shared, she had been eating tomato sandwiches.
Wow.
Yes. Life was very hard for her. Very hard. It didn't stay that way, because eventually she was able to buy a car. She never lost her house, thank God. She was able to refinance it.
Wonderful.
And but she was one of those people where the rate just went really high, and it was a struggle for her for a while. But she came through it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. She was very resilient.
Yes, yeah. And I'm so glad that I met her too, because it gave me a perspective of, sometimes we have a stigma of the people who come for groceries, and it gave me a different perspective.
Well, and you said that you yourself have experienced that as well, and it's humbling, and we never know what someone is going through. You said that earlier, and who knows if she would have been able to get up and out of that had you not helped her.
Right. Relationships.
That's beautiful. That's awesome.
Relationships.
That's awesome. Can you share one more story?
Sure. Okay, so there was another family that lost their house, and we helped them move out of their house because they'd put everything in storage, and I had a truck, and so we went and helped them put everything in storage. And they actually, it was a husband and a wife and two teenage boys, and they had to pitch a tent and live on the levee for a very short time, not very long, but it was a very short time, I believe it was a couple weeks, until they could get into another place. But in the meantime, the husband was able to get a job, and he was working in Concord, and I too got up early for work. Would drive him to Concord just for a short time, not forever, just for a very short time, to help them to get on their feet so he could get a couple of paychecks, and their life got better. And so they didn't stay in that situation. Yeah.
Wow. And it's so amazing. Every story you've shared, someone's been able to improve their situation, and you've helped them to to maintain their resiliency, and you've given them hope.
Yes. Yes.
And that's so important. I think a lot of people have lost hope, and it's just sad, scary times that we're living in. But look at the light that you're shining for people.
Yeah. And it's only through the Lord Jesus. That's who it is. It's not me, it's him. And sometimes, this is so true, sometimes we're the only Jesus that people will see, you know? And so we want to be that light. I want to be that light. And I want to help people. I love people. I do. You know what I'd like to do? I can't, but I'd love to do it. I'd like to pass out $50 for my birthday one day. Stand on a corner. That's what I would love to do.
That would be amazing.
I just have a deep love for people that I know only came from the Lord. And I think it started years ago, Julie, when, how old was I? I must have been in my 20s. I think I was in my 20s. I used to go out on Friday nights to the street of Stockton. Friday nights on the streets of Stockton is no place to be unless you know that God's put you there, right? And I would pass out sandwiches with 2 other people, and we would pray for people. And in that moment, I think that's where I learned to love people out there. I don't know where else I did. That had to have been it. And so I have this deep love for people, and sometimes my heart just breaks when I see lives that are struggling. You know, we can't change the world, but I think that if we reach out to one person and we help their life be better, then they're going to reach out to one person and make their lives better. And ultimately, it can make a world difference.
Definitely. And you are changing the world. And the starfish story, I'm sure that you've heard, that you can't save everyone, but you're making a huge impact for the people that you're helping. Life-saving.
You know who I absolutely love is Mother Teresa. And if you know her story is so amazing. I just love her story. How she was just so persistent, and she wrote letters. She wanted to go do this work, and she wanted to leave the convent, and she just continued to write letters to I guess it was the bishop, and finally he said yes, and she went off. And I saw a documentary one time with her, and I remember she was holding up this baby. And when she held up this little baby that was ultimately going to die because it was, I think, a very premature baby, and no parent was abandoned, I just saw her face light up in like some way that I've never seen before. And I thought, oh my gosh, to have that love inside for another person, what an amazing woman. So I just love her, everything that she did. And if I could just be a little piece of that to somebody, and when I speak with somebody and my face lights up when they tell me how they're doing and it's good and it brings hope to them, then that's what I want to be.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's awesome. You're definitely, truly a beacon of hope for many, many people. Anything else that you'd like to add that we haven't covered? Let's repeat all of your contact information and how people can reach out and help you. And we haven't talked about any fundraisers. I know you mentioned the health fair, but do you have any event that you use to help to generate funds for all the food that you're giving out?
We have one crab feed once a year, and it'll be on February 15th. We hold it at the Greek Orthodox Church on March Lane. It's a beautiful venue. Mm-hmm. That's our one big fundraiser that we have. And the information would be on our website. If anybody wants to attend, please, they can buy tables there. Tables.
Definitely. Tables. And raffle tickets.
And raffle tickets, yes.
And what's your website again?
It's breadoflifestockton.org. And I forgot to mention that the San Francisco Giants, they also support Bread of Life.
Awesome.
Yes.
Wonderful. And where is your warehouse?
Giants.
Go Giants. Where
Yes.
is your warehouse?
It is at 1006 North Aurora Street.
And what's the phone number there?
209-898-6911.
Awesome. And you need volunteers on what days?
Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays
Awesome.
from 7 to 3.
All right. And your food distribution is normally the third Saturday at multiple locations starting at 8 a.m. till about noon?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. And those locations are all listed?
They are all
your
listed
site?
on our website.
And you said anyone is welcome to come and get food?
Everybody is welcome to come and get groceries. Everybody.
That's awesome. And what about feedback from the churches that are helping in this project?
So I've seen personally an increase in attendance in church because I see people who were in my line who are now in church. So it is changing lives.
Awesome.
Yes. And I'm not saying that you have to go to church to, to serve the Lord, because a lot of people serve the Lord where they're at. But I know that I personally love going because I like the singing and.
Well, and to me, what's awesome about that is that, to me, when someone is struggling, I think they often feel isolated. And if you've connected them to somewhere that they feel they have a home, that makes a huge difference in helping them to get out of their situation.
Right. That is true. Yes.
So that's awesome. It's just amazing to hear everything that your organization is doing. And I encourage anyone that's listening that can help to please help Bread of Life. And thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
It was awesome. Really inspiring. Anything final that you'd like to add?
No, I think that we've covered it from beginning to where we are now, and it just pray for us. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
It's a labor of love.
Yes. But I won't grow weary.
Awesome.
I know there's a reward.
Well, and it's huge, and just to hear about all of the lives that you're changing, and I really think that it's more than you're aware of. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful to hear. So thank you again for being here.
Thank you very much.
All right. And with that, I'm going to sign off. I am the voice of San Joaquin. You are the voice of San Joaquin. We are the voice of San Joaquin. Let's make it a great day.